Washington, D.C. studio. Roland Martin, good morning.
Tom Sybil J, good morning. Also, we are on TV One News One now, right now. And first off, before I get into my commentary, I'm going to be in Raleigh this afternoon, Tom, for the HBCU rally. North Carolina legislature will be voting today on Senate Bill 873 that many say is going to be impacting those HBCUs. And so I will be on the ground for that rally today, thanks to our Radio 1 station in Raleigh. Now, let me get to the business at hand. Tom, Snoop Dogg, Mr. Puff Puff Pass Pass, posted the following message on Instagram because he is not happy about the remake of Roots.
No disrespect. I can't watch those black movies. Dogged out, 12 years a slave, Roots, Underground. I can't watch none of that. I'm sick of it. They're going to put Roots on Memorial Day. They're going to just keep beating our heads on how they did us, huh? I mean, I don't understand America. They just want to just keep showing the abuse that we took hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But guess what? We're taking the same abuse. Think about that part. When you're not going to make a series about the success that black folks is having. The only success we have is Roots and 12 years a slave like that, huh? Oh, I ain't watching that. I advise you, that's real like myself, do television shows. Let's create our own based on the day, how we live and how we inspire people today. Black is what's real. You know.
Here's what I find to be real interesting, Tom. Here you have Snoop Dogg talking about how he's a real nigga. Well, guess what, Snoop? Had you actually watched Roots, you would have heard the character tell Kunta Kinte that he was a nigga, and he said, no, I'm a Mandinka warrior. Maybe if Snoop actually watched Roots, he would realize that he's not the N-word. Also, but here's what gets me. You had what? Roots, 12 years a slave, and what else? What's up with all of these slave films as if it's just been a plethora of slavery movies that have come out in history? But not only that, Tom, it's what I love. You will never find somebody Jewish who says, you know what, it's way too many Holocaust films. Can we just move on? Can we stop bringing up the Holocaust? Tom, check this out. Schindler's List, Sophie's Choice, Life is Beautiful, Holocaust, The Pianist, Train of Life, Fateless, Playing for Time, The Gray Zone, Seven Beauties, The Counterfeiters, Amen, Angry Harvest. The list goes on and on and on. And those are Holocaust films only in the last 10 years. The fundamental problem I have is this here. Slavery happened. Slavery is real. And too many Americans want to deny what took place in this country. The reality is black folks are survivors since the first slave touched in Jamestown, Virginia in 1619. But here's what I also am confused by. Snoop Dogg says they should be making this. I checked IMDb.com. Snoop Dogg has 85 television and movie credits. He talked about successful African Americans. The best success story he's done is Soul Plane. Now, I'm trying to understand. You have the potential to change the game, but you want to complain about somebody else. But also, I got a little problem when Snoop Dogg, who was the producer of porn flicks, is talking about changing the face to the successful African Americans. How about this, Snoop? There's an independent film deal where Lindo will play Marcus Garvey. Will you invest? Will you be a producer? We also have other movies that you could also be doing. How about that? But when you slam Roots, and when you say we should boycott it, what you're saying is, oh no, we should learn those things. And the fact of the matter is, we should be learning those things, but not just Roots. Also other multiple movies. I wonder if Snoop Dogg did an Instagram post on the movie Race that came out dealing with Jesse Owens. I wonder if Snoop Dogg was going to do an Instagram post or a documentary with 17 other blacks who were actually in the Olympics in 1936. Oh, we can go down the line, Snoop, if you want to. No, here's what I'm sick of, black folks. I'm sick of us saying we want to see more stories. Then when the movie comes out, we say, well, no, not that story. We don't want to see Red Tail. We want to see something else. We want to go back to before slavery. How many y'all even have those books on your books?
He's stupid, that's why.
See, that's why they
Snoop said he tired of the slave movies.
And actually, Barbara, to call Bill Packer or Ava DuVernay, or call Spike Lee, or the countless African Americans out who are trying to make those films and looking for folks like you who gonna put their money where their mouth is as opposed to their money on some good weed. All I'm saying is this. We need all stories being told. And if more Americans can own up to the history of America, 397 years that we've been here and how brutal slavery was, we should see that, because just like Jews say, never forget. Snoop, we will never forget. So now the ball is in your court. Let's see what you're going to do for Shizzo, my nizzle.
Reach, Reverend Roller.
No, I'm just saying. Okay, Jay. All right, folks, we're going to a break. TV1. We'll be back to talk about this with my panel. Back in a moment. All right, folks, welcome back to News One now to my panel, Steve, Amber, and Scott. See, what's really grating on me when people say all of these films as if there's like a bucket of them. When you actually said slave film, Roots was a television show. Underground was a series, came out this year. The first Roots was 1977. 12 Years a Slave, 2 years ago. Amistad, several years ago. That's 4. Am I missing? Okay, 5. Birth of a Nation coming out in October. That's 5.
The Butler.
All?
Roland, even if there was 100 films, that's not 100 films too many. Slavery is a great stain on this country's history. And it's important to know history because that history has an impact today. And we're not talking about hundreds of years ago. You and I both grew up in Houston. We can tell you in the 60s and 70s, it still was a segregated society, and we're still seeing...
Oh, yeah, I ain't getting into 68. So, but you're right. You're right.
I'm older than you.
I didn't get into November 14th, 1968. But the thing that jumps out at me is that even when Selma came out, I heard some black folks say, we don't want to see that. The Butler, we don't want to see that. And I really believe that there's this whole deal, we don't want to see it, we want to talk about it. There is a reason why Jews make it clear you will never forget the Holocaust. They make it clear. Never forget. Their kids are raised, never forget. Some of us want to forget.
Right. And well, it's interesting. I say Black America needs to be in therapy over this slavery issue and their existence. The fact of the matter is, America's got to continue to confront its wicked past of slavery and how they treated people of color. And I'm not just black people across the board. And without these movies, without that powerful message, okay, it's easy to forget. It's easy to rewrite history. For several hundred years or several decades, slavery wasn't even being taught in Anglo-Saxon history books. And these movies not only capture it, but are powerful reminders that we should be taking a position never again.
In fact, Amber, what's happening right now is in Texas, in North Carolina, in Tennessee, you have these efforts to literally remove slavery completely from textbooks.
Right.
And then also, if it is in there, no, they were servants.
Right. But that effort is coming from white folks, not black folks. And I think the point that Snoop Dogg is making, that a lot of young folks and Twitter are making, is that white people have so much representation. They are, I was talking about a friend, how even the M&Ms have white limbs. Like, they're everywhere. You know what their lives look like. We know the history of the Holocaust. And I do think stories like around enslavement should be told. However, there seems to be a gap in the types of representation that black folks are allowed to have. Even if you look at something like Netflix, which black folks helped to make that even more viral by coming up with terms like Netflix and chill. You have the reboot of Gilmore Girls, Full House, Boy Meets World, yet we can't even have access to Living Single. What would it like to have an updated Family Matters? All these things are also gaps, and I think that is a point that I would hope or would like Snoop Dogg.
But here's the deal, though. Here's the deal. And look, I agree. First of all, I want more of everything. Mm-hmm. But I would also challenge those very same people, when those movies come out, do they go see them? Mm-hmm. See, it's interesting to me that we can praise straight out of Compton. Mm-hmm. But then we'll say, oh no, boycott Roots. When, if you say, wait a minute, what is historical? Both matter. Mm-hmm. My problem is, shoot, you're in a position to change.
Right.
So what are you doing? See, that's like me saying, well, CNN not doing this, and MSNBC and Fox not doing this, when I have my own show when I can actually do it. You have an opportunity to actually impact it, but even he's not doing it. So really, look at yourself.
Yeah, and there is, with the younger generation, they're farther removed from the civil rights movement and from slavery, and their view on this is really rooted in many respects in ignorance, if you will.
Even though right now we're currently leading a movement called Black Lives Matter.
Hey,
the young people are removed from the civil rights movement, but we're studying
this is their civil rights movement, if you will, and Black Lives Matter is super important, but you certainly can't compare Black Lives Matter and what's going on today with the 200 years, 400 years of slavery that we've endured. And those messages those stories need to be told. And by the way, we need to be telling those stories because we need to continue to confront white folks in this country that not only it hadn't gotten much better, but we've come from slavery to now discrimination.
I also think we should just be a little bit more skeptical of these studios. That the reason why some of these films are being produced are not about our freedom or us getting free. It is to enforce a narrative.
But black people are making these movies.
No. Wait, hold up. Now, if we're gonna go there, okay, like what?
Like when are
Name it.
Well, I think it's the fact that like The Help, we have black women in servitude. A lot of these movies are not just about enslavement, but they're the only critically acclaimed or Oscar-winning movies. We're not seeing independent films about a Snoop Dogg smoking weed or what have you.
No, actually we are. And what is happening is, the reality is here. You have a significant number of independent films that people are producing that get picked up. Again, Nate Parker's Birth of a Nation comes out in October. The reality is we need more. My problem is in the desire for more, I'm not going to denigrate what we already have as if that's irrelevant, Steve.
Well, if you don't teach history, how are people going to learn it? I mean, it's so important that we educate young people as to what occurred. Anybody born today couldn't have experienced the government-enforced segregation of the 60s because it's already passed. Anybody born today cannot know what slavery is like unless somebody tells them the reality of it. You mentioned that there are textbooks that gloss over what slavery was.
Or totally omit.
Or totally omit. That's why it's so important to tell the story, because over generations you can get people that distort it. You know, the truth is its own reward. And, you know, these films are telling truth, and people need to know the truth.
What my biggest deal is this here, again, if you are going to say something about it, do something about it. But you can't be an entertainer and have 75 television and movie credits. And again, your best movie is when you played a shiftless, lazy dude in Baby Boy who was at Taraji P. Henson's house, or your other best movie when you played a drug dealer in Training Day, or your other best movie when you were a high pilot in Soul Plane. That's all we got to say. I'll be back. News One Now just tomorrow. We're going to talk about the verdict for a deadly shooting of an unarmed black man in Oklahoma. Also, Spike Lee, Ava DuVernay, Gordon Parks, so their movies make the cut for Slate Magazine's 50 Greatest Films by Black Directors. All of that next. News One Now, TV One.